with Tookie, and then Betty, and then Grace, and then Bob. So come on up, Hazel, or Tookie, as most of us learned your name as a young child. We learned of you as Tookie. We're going to get a lapel mic on you. Do you have a, let me put this on your belt.
He was born during the war. Yeah. Down there.
Hopefully this will.
Just put this in your pocket. Is she on?
I think
Go
so.
ahead and talk.
Hi, Doug.
I think you're on. All right. There you go.
If you can't hear me, I can hear me. God's plan for our lives is to have a relationship with Him and with others. Since the family unit, our first relationship is with the family unit. So I'm just going to tell you about my family. I was born in Chicago, Illinois, to a poor family. The whole country was poor. It was during the recession. My father found a job. A lot of men didn't, but it was going door to door with full of brushes and maybe other things he sold. My mom thought that oatmeal would be the best food because it was nourishing and it was cheap. And all four of us remember oatmeal. Morning, breakfast, noon, and night. Oh, we won't forget oatmeal. 6 weeks after I was born, my brother and sisters came down with whooping cough. And they tell me that I did too. Really hard on Mom, because her kids were ages 2, 4, and 6, and 3 kids with whooping cough. But when I was 4 years old, something wonderful happened in my life, and that was when my mother led me to the Lord. And 3 years later, I committed my life to the Lord for missions. And that just set the course for my life. There was a lot of fun and humor in my family. Oh, we played baseball outside. Sometimes our own games, whatever we wanted. And, we had fun. And we had roller skates, all those roller skates. That was fun, going around the block. And, but those skates were really something else, because you could go maybe 3 or 4, 15 or 20 minutes, and then they'd fall apart. And you'd have your key, and you'd put them together, and off you'd go. I mean, just for the next 15 minutes. It was nice. My brother had lots of ideas for us to have fun. And I remember one evening, right after supper, he said, "Hey, come on, gals, my sisters and I, come on to the living room. We're going to have a band." Oh, I liked a band. So we each thought of what instrument we could play. I think I had a spoon and a pie plate, I could be the drummer. And I don't know what the others did, but anyway. And he gave them some music. Well, the band started to practice, and it wasn't too good the first time, but you got to practice a little bit. And suddenly, my brother said to somebody, I don't know who it was, "You can't read music?" Oh, that was the end of the band. But he had other ideas later on. He called us outside. And he says, "Come on, gals, 3 girls and 1 guy. We're going to have a football team." And that was better than the first idea. And I think I caught the ball one time. And we had fun until my brother fell and got hurt. And my mother said, "It's too dangerous. No more football." But my brother helped me learn something too, and I was grateful for that. He had a trombone, and I could play a little bit the piano, and he wanted me to accompany him in his music. So he came along and he said, "Now, you got to follow me. Come on, keep up with me." Boom, boom, boom. Oh, and I caught on. And we had an opportunity later on. My sister Betty had a boyfriend. And after the date, they'd come to our house and talk. And, just at the right time, I went to the piano, and Bob picked up his trombone, and we played together a song that was always used at weddings at that period of time. And it went something like this. Let's see, where is this? "I love you truly, truly, dear. Life with its sunshine, life with its tears." Betty was so happy we sang to her. I really appreciate the parents God gave us. My mom was a woman of character. She was a woman of wisdom. She always asked God for wisdom. And she needed wisdom with a bunch of 4 kids like we were. She listened to me. She encouraged me. And she taught me something very important. And that was a verse from Proverbs. It said, "Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord." Oh my goodness, that word abomination. I don't think I ever said another lie in all my life. My father was a get-up-and-go man. When we had a 2-story house, he went up the stairs twice, 2 at a time. I'm not kidding you. All of his life, always. I think maybe until he was 80. And when I was in high school, my dad and another man that she knew, they started a business in Chicago, and it was called Active Electric Company. And it did well. I did notice, though, at 6:45 in the morning, he was on his knees in the living room. And then 7 o'clock, zoom out the door to Chicago. I have 2 wonderful sisters. They're both very generous and very kind. Fun-loving, hard-working women, and they've always blessed my life. Let me give you an illustration of this kindness. In the year 2010, 5 years ago, my husband passed away. In the following year, I spent the summer at a ministry in Portland, Maine, that was helping international people come into our country. At the end of the summer, a virus caused me to lose all my sight in the left eye. And a woman I hardly knew at all, she said, "Come to my house and I'll take care of you." And each each day, every day, she had to take me to the eye clinic in Portland. And each day, she had to give me my meds, starting at 4:30 in the morning, and go up sometimes till 11 o'clock at night. And then Peter, from wherever he'd been, he flew to Portland, Maine, so he could accompany me to Minnesota, to the house of Betty and Wendell. And Betty took care of me for about 2 months, going to Mayo Clinic day after day after day after day and giving me the meds. And I want to give a public thank you to Betty and Wendell and Peter. The fall of 1952, Grace and I began a 3-year study at a Bible Institute in Pennsylvania. And our first year was so much fun. I think that I had all the ideas for the shenanigans. But Grace, she had the guts. She had the courage to do them. Now, did they kick us out? Well, not exactly. They just said we couldn't be roommates anymore. I am now 27 years old, and I'm packing to go to Spanish language school in San Jose, Costa Rica. But I'm not happy. I'm not ready. I do not have a husband. And God said to me, Hazel, can't you trust me? If you can't trust me now for your future, how can you ever help anyone else trust me? I got the point. I acknowledged it to the Lord. And He gave me peace. I do have to laugh. The first day I got to San Jose, a young man came up to me and said, "Hi, my name is Jim Clark. And did you say that you graduated from Wheaton College?" I forgot to tell you that. After I graduated, I went to Wheaton College. I said, "Yeah." And we talked. And 6 months later, we were engaged. And the next February, we were married in the USA. The Lord had a plan for us, or at least the mission did, that we go to Honduras. Because there was some job that they wanted us to do. And it was in the town of Olanchito, Honduras. That was a town of 5,000 people in the middle of the country. And in the town of Olanchito, there was a Bible Institute, and they wanted Jim to help teach there. Well, my desire was to have a relationship with the women. And it was very interesting what came to my mind. There were 3 doors that were open. This is crazy. But one was my dog, my children, and flowers and plants. I mean, with the women, isn't that, what we're interested in? 2 months after we arrived, I came down with malaria. And the doctor came to our house, and we were talking, and he said, the climate here isn't healthy, and the water is bad, and there's not very much food in this town. Well, I had remembered that there were a lot of funerals that passed my house. And I'd often hear about a baby of a certain family that was sick. And always, the baby's still sick, the baby's still sick. And one afternoon, somebody passed my house and said, hey, the funeral's tonight. And I said, the funeral? Did the baby die? No, but not in good shape. And so I got in the car and I went to the woman's house and I grabbed her by the arm and I said, we're going to the farmacia. Yeah. So we went. By the time we got there, it was dark and it was closed. But I found a rock and I started banging on the gate. And finally there was a light upstairs, and the lady opened the window, and she said, ¿Qué pasa? And I said, Señora, perdone, pero esta señora tiene el bebé que es, I'm sorry, her baby is dying. And she needs medication, and I will pay. So the lady very kindly came down the stairs and opened up the pharmacy, and I paid her. And there were 3 people that were very, very happy when the baby lived. But I had something else in mind. It's not something else, but someone else. And that was an elderly man. He was the father of one of our Bible Institute gals. And I decided to go to his house and talk to him. Buenas tardes, señor, ¿cómo está? Ah, vaya, sí, yo también. And we started talking. And I said, Señor, I have something very important to talk to you about. Did you know that God loves you? You know what? You are precious to God. Did you know that? Yeah, it's true. And he said, muy bonito, which means pretty. And I said, Señor, listen to what I'm going to read to you from the Bible. It says, for God so loved the world. That's you. You're part of the world. You're special. And then it says that he gave. God gave you something. He gave the whole world something. He gave his only son, Jesus. Why do you have to do that? Because we're sinners. We do bad. It's just, we are sinners and therefore we sin. We do bad things. We talk ugly to other people. We have bad thoughts, and that's because we're inside. Inside we need to be clean. We need to be forgiven. Muy bonito. And I said, Señor, listen, that whoever believes in him, I know you're a good man. Yes, you're a very good man. But it's the heart that... Okay, I'm sorry.
We're going to get rid of the lapel mic. For you future speakers, you'll only use this.
Okay,
There you go.
thank you. It's whoever believes in him. God, I think of it this way. I gave him all my garbage. regard my garbage. That's what he wants. And you know what? He gives us joy and peace and assurance that we'll be with him in all eternity. Muy bonito. But there's a promise. Is not condemned. He's not separated from God. But he will have eternal life in heaven. Muy bonito. I left that day kind of sad. I didn't know if he understood me. During the 7 years that we lived in Olanchito, God gave us two precious children, Peter and Rachel. And when Peter was 7 years old, the mission told us to move to Tegucigalpa, where there was a wonderful school for missionary kids. Go to Tegucigalpa? There's no road going to Tegucigalpa. Oh, you get somebody to pack up all your furniture and everything you have and put it on an airplane. That's easy, isn't it? It was really a joy to us to move to Tegucigalpa, a blessing, because the weather there was fresh and cool. There were nice stores there. There was plenty of food in the market. And we would be working with middle-class people. And we would be there another 10 years. But I'm not going to spend 10 years of it right now. We found a place to live in Miraflores, a subdivision of that area. And we got Peter settled. We were a little bit wary of this school in that it took an hour and a half to get up to the mountain, winding roads, you know, and an hour and a half at night. So the bus would pick him up at 7 o'clock in the morning and he'd be home at 5. But they never complained. Not to me, at least. We were there to build a church. Sometimes that's very hard when you're starting with no one or just one person. But we found a Christian couple that had just come to town, and they were happy that we come to their house and for Bible studies. And you know, with time, it grew, more and more people came, and we needed a bigger place, and one of the couples wanted to go to the United States to get some more education. And then, well, what comes next? That's packed up, and you need something bigger. You need to build a church. Well, Jim was the gopher to get all the materials. And that kept him hopping. But during that time, God gave us another child. But this child was stillborn. About 4 months later, somebody said to us, "Would you like a baby?" Like a baby? We got to see this baby, and we got permission to adopt, and Jim found a lawyer, and he said the only 2 weeks they could get all the papers. Well, we went back in 2 weeks, and he hadn't done a thing. He was trying to have the missionary pad his pockets, and Jim Clark did not pad pockets. So Jim Clark did that job as well as working on the church. One afternoon, somebody came to my door, and I went to the door, and I was startled. "Senora, oh, everything's terrible. I'm so embarrassed. I don't know what to do. Oh, Doña Salia, I don't know." Well, good night. I thought she was going to have a some kind of stroke or something. So I got her in the house, and I said, "No, please sit down and tell me what's wrong." She said, one of the lawyers came along and picked up his papers, and he's got all of yours too. And I'm sure he's off in Africa someplace, and he might not even come back with the papers for a whole year. I really wanted to laugh. It seemed so ridiculous. But I didn't dare. So I said, "Senora, God knows where those papers are. And we're going to pray right now. I'm going to talk to him." So I did. I told God we needed those papers, and he knew where they were. About 2 weeks later, we were in town, and she was waving to us, and she had the papers. We were so excited when we finally had our baby. And what was the name we gave that baby? Oh yeah, it was Esther. This next story is still in Tegucigalpa, but it's different. I'm curious. Big building, no sign. What is it? A girls' home. Offer Bible club? Every Friday night? Good. So every Friday night, the girls and I and my accordion went to the Bible club. Christmas came, and I said, "Jim, do you think it's okay to invite Avelia to our house for Christmas?" "Why not?" So every Friday night, Avelia. Every weekend, I should say. Every weekend, Avelia came to our house. You're asking us to adopt Avelia? I'll tell you what. We're going to the United States in a couple months, and I'll be speaking to some women, and I'll tell them that Avelia doesn't have a mother and she doesn't have a father. You're wanting to try her out? Oh no, you can't try out children. You're going to adopt Avelia? Oh, great. This last Christmas, I got a Christmas card from Avelia, and she had something very precious that she wrote down. And she said, "Thank you for saving my life." After 17 and a half years in Honduras, Jim was challenged by all the large new subdivisions in El Salvador. And so we went there, but it wasn't long until we saw that it was a very dangerous place to live. Kidnappings, even a murder, bombings of banks, shooting of policemen that were on the street. It was nerve-wracking. But let me tell you about the Hernandez family. He was a veterinarian, and she was a doctor of pharmacia. And they were very happy to have that Bible study, and it was growing, and lives were being changed, and Jim even baptized several people in the swimming pool next door. But it's a small world. Peter also, after we left this country, Peter came across a woman that had been in that same Bible study. And she said, "Peter, you know, the funniest thing about this, I wasn't a bit interested, not a bit interested in that Bible study, but I kept going, you know. You know why? Peter, it was because your mother took brownies every week, and she loved the brownies. Now, if God can use brownies to bring a woman to Christ, don't you think God can use anyone? In conclusion, I'd like to read this. Jim and I also served in Venezuela and Albania, but my favorite ministry was with ISI, which is International Students. Why was it my favorite ministry? It was an entirely new ministry for us. It was an opportunity to have fun. And we needed, at that point in our lives, we needed to have fun. To be outdoors, to take the students to interesting places. I loved giving out the training to Americans that were interested in having a friend from another country. I loved training them how we had been trained. And it was exciting to see them get excited, and people of the world, and blessing them. It was an opportunity to hear about their family, for us to hear their country and their religion. It was an opportunity to discuss our worldview and religion as well. It was my favorite ministry because it changed me. As I was working with the international students, I had new exposure to other faiths. As a result, I had the desire to deepen my relationship with the Lord, even as the scripture says, "And this is life eternal, that they may know you." Do you know what I'm doing now? On December 10th of 2003, Jim and I moved into the SIM Sebring Village retirement village for missionaries. It is decked with palm trees, flowers, a man-made lake, lots of birds, a swimming pool, and just lots of kindness. I think it's beautiful. Come on down and see it for yourself. I'd love to have your visit.